regarding the shortage of polio and BCG vaccines. This is the response from the ministry, Mr. Speaker. One, the immediate measures the ministry is taking to address the current shortage of polio and BCG vaccines in the country, including specific timelines. Mr. Speaker, the ministry is fully aware that the disruption in vaccine availability is causing a greater anxiety in the country. To address the current shortage, the Ministry of Health has implemented the following immediate measures. One, emergency procurement support. The government has, through the Ministry of Health, made an emergency disbursement of Kenya shillings 1 billion to support the procurement of essential vaccines, namely BCG, oral polio, tetanus, diphtheria, through UNICEF. These quantities are sufficient to sustain the country's routine immunization program for a period of 3 months. Two, Mr. Speaker, on the arrival of the vaccines on 4th of June for polio and 11th of June for BCG, a distribution timelines were worked out and the distributions have been done, and throughout the regions, the vaccines were dispatched to 9 regional depots on 12th of June 2025, and these regions are Kisumu, Kakamega, Nakuru, Eldoret, Garissa, Meru, Nyeri, Nairobi, and Mombasa. In line with the devolved health system, the ministry, in coordination with the Council of Governors, issued communication to all counties requesting their respective departments to collect the vaccines from the depots and facilitated onward distribution. Mr. Speaker, the distribution is as follows. Eldoret, BCG 264,000 doses, polio 264,000 doses, and tetanus 147. Garissa, BCG 114,000, OPV 114,000, diphtheria 63. Kakamega 216,000 for BCG, 216 for polio, and 118,000 for diphtheria. Kisumu Regional Store 270,000, BCG 270,000, polio, and 150,000 tetanus diphtheria. Meru Regional Store 96,000, polio, 96,000 polio, and 54,000 tetanus diphtheria. Mombasa 192,000, BCG, and polio 192,000, and diphtheria 105,000. Mr. Speaker, Nakuru 192,000, 105 for BCG, polio, and tetanus. Nyeri 78,000, 45,000 for BCG, polio, and tetanus. Total was 1,944,000 for BCG, 1,944,000 for polio, and 1,075,000 for tetanus. Mr. Speaker, there's a balance to be dispatched, indicating, Mr. Speaker, that actually for the period indicated, we'll actually have adequate BCG. Now, the logistics for quick distribution, as you have said earlier, across the country is working with the Council of Governors through the county governments. Mr. Speaker, the other important thing about this is the long term. And Mr. Speaker, there's a bit of history to this. Kenya, since the year 2001, has been a valued beneficiary of support from Gavi. So, Speaker, what that means is we actually get support from Gavi to the tune of $950 million in funding to strengthen our national immunization program. Under Gavi's co-funding financing framework, the government of Kenya is required to make an annual financial contribution towards vaccine procurement. This agreement is based on a shared responsibility model and continued compliance is essential for Kenya to remain eligible for this support. For the current financial year, the total amount required by the Ministry of Health to meet the country's vaccine procurement needs is 4.2 billion as indicated below. Kenya shillings 2 billion for procurement of traditional vaccines, 1.62 billion for Gavi co-financing, which is due on June 2025, and 585 million for the replacement of vaccine independence initiative through UNICEF. So, Mr. Speaker, from this, we actually, as of now, we have adequate vaccines. Now, but we have a shortfall. So, Mr. Speaker, to address the outstanding shortfall, the ministry secured an additional 930 million Kenya shillings for supplementary budget 3, earmarked specifically to cover the 620 million balance pending. Mr. Speaker, basically we have to put some money for Gavi to support us, and that money, 930 million, has actually been made available. The Ministry of Health continues to actively engage the National Treasury to ensure timely release of these funds and full compliance with our financial obligations under the co-financing agreement. These efforts are particularly focused on meeting the June 2025 deadline to avoid any further disruption. This disruption came because we did not meet the deadline, but this money now will help us meet the deadline, and we should be able to forestall any shortages. So, Speaker, the long-term strategy put in place to strengthen the national vaccine supply chain so as to build resilience against future disruption in vaccine available. What the ministry is doing is to really looking for increased future budget allocation and ring-fencing vaccine funds against other budget provisions and timely disbursement of funds. The most difficult one has been the timely disbursement of funds. So with this, Mr. Speaker, the ministry wishes to assure the House that the Kenya public that the government, through the Ministry of Health, is committed to making every effort to prevent stockouts and sustain high immunization coverage. Our goal is clear. No child or eligible person should ever miss a life-saving vaccine due to preventable supply chain failures. So, Speaker, we will continue to work closely with partners and UNICEF and Gavi and county government to ensure that long-term plans translate into consistent availability of vaccines across all regions of the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman Mwenje.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think your worries are responded to.
Yes.
Yes, largely.
Largely, Honorable Speaker, and I just want to thank him. I just have one issue that I'll raise, to just thank the Chair and yourself for actually your intervention in this matter. Honorable Speaker, the only issue I'll raise is that sometime for about 2 weeks in May and sometime before the 11th, when the vaccines were made available, there were children who were born in various hospitals, including my own constituency, and did not receive these vaccines. And I'm sure it will be all over around the country. Perhaps I would have expected the Chair to give just a guideline to Kenyans, because those children who did not get those vaccines, what happens? Those mothers took those children, went home, and those children remain at home without having gotten these vaccines. And for some of the very marginalized areas, even getting these children to go back to those hospitals might be an issue. Perhaps the ministry would give a guideline and just give an advisory to these parents on what they need to do for these parents, these May, June babies born during that time. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you to the Chair.
I think it's sufficiently comprehensive. When children are born, I think they're given a vaccine, is it every month for some time before they are weaned off? So what the Chairman and your ministry should do now is do some advocacy to the country that those children who are born in hospitals and missed BCG vaccinations should go back and get them.
Although that is not specifically written here, I had actually undertaken and discussed with the ministry,
Yes.
and they actually have done that. And even when the children miss vaccines, they are actually indicated that they should visit the clinics when the vaccines become available. Mr. Speaker, just a little story. This came to me in a very interesting way. My worker had a child, and that's when I knew the 2 weeks they missed the vaccines, and he told me travel to Uganda to get the vaccine done. That is how seriously parents take vaccination.
And what we also need to do is getting vaccines landed in Nairobi is one thing, getting them in hospitals in far-flung areas like Turkana, Mandera is another. So ensure that each hospital gets their rightful share of the vaccines to administer to young children born in our country.
Thank you. Even that has been done through the distribution channels. Thank
Next,
you.
Murugara, to respond to Umulkhair Harun. Are you ready?
No. I have not received any